Unfiltered, uncensored, unprecedented TV. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Leading Edge with me, Basil Valentine. Getting to be a regular thing, this, isn't it? Day 3 already, many more to come. But as I said yesterday, from next week, a new format likely to be called First Report with Basil Valentine. It'll be an entirely new news program, and I'm going to be going out live at 1 p.m. UK time, which is, of course, 8 a.m. on the East Coast of America and 5 a.m. on the West Coast, 2 p.m. in Central Europe, 3 p.m. or later and in Moscow, and places further east. I actually prefer doing a live program. This one is recorded. I'm recording this on Tuesday afternoon. You will see it on Wednesday lunchtime, but I like to be fully up to date with what's going on in terms of the news and able to refer to the day's events as they are unfolding. So hence the news show, First Report with Basil Valentine, 1 o'clock lunchtime. Don't bother with the world at 1. You get the real news here with me. None of your propaganda or spin. And on that note, I'm pleased to say I've got a particularly good guest joining me for today's trawl through a few clips of social media. And we're also going to have a look at, I'm going to be discussing with him how to change your immediate surroundings if you're not too happy with what's going on in your life. A lot of people rather frustrated by the circumstances they find themselves in. Quite understandably so. These are very challenging times, there's no doubt about it. But my first guest has got a lot to say about that. And he is, of course, the one and only star of stage and screen, Mr. Phil Zimmerman. Phil Zimmerman, welcome to the program.
Hello, Basil Valentine. Thank you for having me on your new show. This Tuesday, I thought it was Thursday. Actually, is it Tuesday? I thought it was Thursday or Saturday, but apparently it's Tuesday. Are we recording it on Tuesday, are we?
Yeah, it's only Tuesday, I'm afraid. We've still got a few days to go till the weekend. Thursday, the 19th of August. Hasn't August gone quickly, Phil?
It has. It's sped by at lightning speed.
I don't know about you, but I think this has also been, of course, you're up in the famous Quiz of the Week city, Norwich. Who can forget Nicholas Parsons and the fantastic game show from the 1970s? I don't know what the weather's been like up here, but down here in glorious Sussex, it's been the warmest and the most humid summer I can ever remember, day after day, in what I still call the high 70s or low 80s Fahrenheit, high 20s, early 30s Celsius, for months, since the beginning of June or something.
Freak weather, Basil, freak weather. It's absolutely dismal here, I'm glad to report. Wonderfully dismal.
Right, well, I can't wait for the autumn to arrive, to be honest. We can all cool down and dress normally. And, I don't have to have 3 or 4 showers a day just to stay cool. But the big question I've got for you, Phil, is do you think our weather is being manipulated?
Oh, I couldn't possibly comment, Basil. I mean, I wouldn't want to be called any kind of theorist. I wouldn't want to advance any kind of theory that we might not be able to back up with evidence that we've been studying for about 30 years. So I don't think I can commit myself to give an answer to that. But you could possibly play something that might suggest something's going on that's not quite right.
Yes, indeed. Star of stage and screen, Phil Zimmerman, has made a record about those lines in the sky that you see on clear days. People say it's just aircraft vapor trail, but why do they make those grid patterns? And I never seem to remember them as a child. This is Phil's latest record, the superbly titled Lines in the Sky.
Lines in the sky, chemical shaped, raining down on you and I. Don't you ever wonder why? There's lines in the sky, lines in the sky, chemical shaped. It's a new world order, conspiracy and lies. Don't you ever wonder why? There's la 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 lines in the sky, chemical shaped. I saw it on the internet, and now it's messing with my mind. Don't you ever wonder why? There's lines in the sky. They think we're all zombies, lobotomized sheep, addicted to apathy. I am a Kevin. Lines in the sky, chemical shapes, raining down on you and I. Don't you ever wonder why? There's la 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 la. Get up, stand up, wake up, speak up.
And a mushroom cloud to finish. Wow, you really did throw the kitchen sink, so to speak, at that, Phil. First of all, congratulations on an extremely professional video, and the song itself is very tight. It's grown on me. It was described, I believe, as a cross between the Rolling Stones and the Sex Pistols. I'm not a fan of either, to be honest, but I must admit it really works. It gets its message across.
Yes, we didn't manage to get Mick Jagger in there to do a bit of staggering around, as a guest spot. I think that would have lowered the tone a bit. And as you say, really ending on a high there with the nuclear bomb going off, just ending all the chemtrail stuff finally.
And even the pigeon suit makes an appearance, Phil.
It had to. It's in demand. The public were clamoring for it. I had to accede to their demands and dress as a pigeon.
In at least a couple of shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the plan for the track?
No plans at all, really.
Well, it would be good if it went to number one, wouldn't it?
Yes, number one. That's the main plan. World domination is another idea we've had for it. And I did have someone working on the publicity, which put the streams up by about 37. So it's doing pretty well, actually. It's got about 7,000 hits on YouTube, I think, and it will get another lease of life when my album comes out, and should guarantee another 43 streams, I should think, at least.
When can we expect to see your album, Phil?
Sometime.
Yeah.
So it will be probably, I want to bring out, this is probably going to be early next year now.
Now, for the serious aspect, Lines in the Sky, of course, you're referring to chemtrails. I believe you spoke at a demonstration a few weeks ago in London, drawing attention to what as you rightly said at the beginning, a lot of people simply call a conspiracy theory. But there've also been admissions, haven't there, by various government departments that they are, in fact, seeding the atmosphere for various reasons, and that the stuff that comes out of these aircraft includes aluminium and I've even heard dried blood. What can you tell us?
Yes, well, there's been all sorts of evidence like that all over the place for years, but it's never been taken up and analysed, of course, or looked at. The latest news, of course, is in the mainstream, is the fact that, well, they're saying the thing that we've been saying has been happening since the 90s, which is this, chemical sludge playing noughts and crosses all over the sky, turning when the sky starts out perfectly clear, blue sky, lovely morning. Then as the day develops, you see these lingering lines. You see there's two types of this contrail, which is a disappearing vapor trail, and there's a contrail, which is a lingering one, and it spreads over the sky as the day goes on, so it becomes a milky haze. We've been observing that for years. The governments are now saying that they're actually going to be, of course, Bill Gates is in on this, funding this. He's got his horrible little fingers and everything. They're going to be experimenting with this idea of dimming the sun. Really? Oh, well, we've been saying that, you see, the idea of dimming the sun to prevent allegedly global warming is something that has been an unofficial statement by governments when the conspiracy theorists have been talking about this for years and years. That was always considered to be the least sinister of the possible explanations for why they were doing it. But now they're coming out officially stating they're actually going to be doing this program of dimming the sun by spraying these substances into the atmosphere. Well, what I'm interested to see is when they officially state they are doing it, how different is the sky going to look? It'll be just the same.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's the obvious contradiction between dimming the sun and then installing solar panels everywhere. What is the point of that? Would seem to be completely counterproductive. In the United States, though, people do take the subject much more seriously than in the UK. Legislation to ban them has been put forward in Tennessee and Florida. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. himself, now the Health and Human Services Secretary, has expressed interest in the theory. He's pushed back against the mRNA injections. They've been taken off the prescription list. Better late than never, you might say. But I think he's going to have a harder job with this because this is real deep state stuff, isn't it, Phil?
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, yeah, as you say, Kennedy wants to, get the chemtrailing stopped, and he's spoken out against it very clearly. But the thing is that the government's now saying they're doing it as an experiment, but they're not acknowledging that it's already happening. And Kennedy, I don't know, it's very difficult to work out where he stands with the whole globalist thing, because of course he is a big supporter of Israel. So on one level he's doing a lot of good stuff, it would seem, against the vaccine and the poison in medicine realm, but at the same time, of course, the America is absolutely facilitating the continued annihilation of Palestinian people in Gaza. So work that one out. It's difficult to trust anyone, really.
You're not kidding. With respect to the situation in Gaza, we now, of course, have the so-called Gaza Humanitarian Fund, bizarrely named, really, given that they're throwing bags of flour at people and then watching them scramble around for them, fighting like rats over scraps. It really is. The scenes coming out are beyond apocalyptic. Here is the renowned American Holocaust scholar Norman Finkelstein, talking about the current situation with respect to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid so-called distribution.
Already you could see in the first weeks in Gaza, they were talking about sending the message to the people of Gaza. You have two choices. One, to stay and starve, or two, to leave. Those were the two choices, and you'll see it repeated over and over again by senior Israeli officials, analysts, consultants, and so forth. So let's now just take this thing called the Gaza Humanitarian Fund. There are 2.3 million people in Gaza. They kicked out all the UN agencies which have long experience in dealing with populations in war zones, how to feed them, how to accommodate them, and they bring in this GHF, which Mr. Huckabee is very fond of. I doubt he knows what GHF stands for. There are 2.3 million people in Gaza. They set up 4 distribution points. 4. Of those 4, on the typical day, 2 are open. 2 for 2.3 million people, half of whom are children. Of those 2 that are open, brace yourself. On a typical day, they're open for 15 minutes. How do they distribute the food? You know how they distribute it? They throw it on the floor. And then people are supposed to run for it. To reduce them to rats. Whenever I read about that, it reminds me, in the concentration camps, the food they put in a giant vat, it's almost all water. I'm referring to World War II now. It's almost all water. But there are a few vegetables in that vat of soup. And so what can you imagine? The people who are lining up, they're pushing each other, they're shoving each other. Because you have to get to the head of the line, or it's just water. And that's what they do to the people of Gaza, reducing them to scurrying rats. And then as they go for the food, the Israelis, because they're scared, they're afraid, they start shooting at the people, killing them as they scramble and scurry for the food. So what message is the GHF trying to transmit? And Israel behind the GHF. What's the message they're trying to transmit? You have 2 choices: to stay and to starve, or be shot to death trying to get the food. Stay and starve, or leave.
There you have it. It's an absolutely awful situation, the worst in our lifetimes, Phil, and we both go back several decades. The so-called leaders of Europe were gathered in the Oval Office yesterday, all sitting around like school children in front of the headmaster's desk while Trump pontificated. Lots of fine words about protecting children in the Ukraine, but they don't seem to give a damn about the children of Gaza. A lot of people are calling this out as barefaced racism. What do you think, Phil?
It's pure, unadulterated evil, is what it is. It's very difficult to, after all this time, find any words that have any power anymore to describe it. I saw a thing on Facebook today saying that Trump is one of the most evil men on the planet because several Israeli figures have acknowledged that without the supply of military supply, weapons and equipment and so forth, that Israel are receiving from America, without that, they could not do what they're doing. They just wouldn't be able to do it. It wouldn't be possible. So all he has to do is to say no to it and stop supplying them with all these ammunitions, equipment and stuff. They couldn't carry out this genocide. They'd have to stop. So, what can you say about it? I'm just lost for words, really, to find anything new to say about how fucking evil it is.
You don't mince your words, Phil. Now, on that note, somebody else who's decided not to mince their words is the recent visitor to the Gaza Strip, Cardinal Pete Sabella, and this is what he had to say. It really does seem that our Holy Land, which preserves the highest revelation and manifestation of God, is also the place of the highest manifestation of Satan's power. That was in a recent homily, and he's doubled down on those comments. So that's very, very strong language for a religious leader to use. He doesn't actually say that Israel is responsible for the satanic behavior, but he makes it quite clear that that's what he means.
Yes, I mean, it's you can't really deny it. I mean, the relentless avalanches of evidence that we've been seeing for what seems forever now makes anyone that says it's not genocide to be either completely insane or just absolutely lying about what's patently obvious to anyone with half a brain cell still flickering.
Now, as I'm sure you know, Phil, the fake anti-Semitism farrago in the Labour Party that began getting on for 10 years ago now and went all the way through to the complete political assassination of Jeremy Corbyn and the resultant defeat of the 2019 attempt by the Corbyn-led Labour Party to gain power. That ugly monstrosity, of course, is now rearing its head again with respect to your party, whatever it is to be called, with Jeremy at its head, alongside, of course, the other MP whose name escapes me. I was going to say Apsana Begum, but it isn't, is it? She's been accused, of course, of Zara Sultana. That's it. She's been accused of anti-Semitism by, amongst other people, Oliver Cam, because she posted the other day, and I also said it at an event at the weekend, I am anti-Zionist, and you can print that. Those were her exact words, and there is indeed a furious debate.
Raising hell, Basil. She's raising hell.
Well, first of all, Phil, there's a debate going on within your party, a very important one, about whether or not it will be, or its platform at least, will be an avowedly anti-Zionist platform. By that, meaning that the state of Israel should be dismantled and replaced with a single non-sectarian state covering the whole of historic Palestine, based on one person, one vote, and equal human rights for all. Now, that might seem like a perfectly reasonable, enlightened position even to take. It differs from that of Western governments who continue to parrot the two-state delusion. But of course, as soon as you start talking about the end of Israel as an ethno-state, then that's when you start being accused of anti-Semitism. It really is a bizarre situation.
Yes, well, they really love dredging it up, don't they? The old anti-Semitism routine. Maybe there'll be a few plants in the new party that, to kind of try and stoke it up again, get the whole thing that happened in the Labour Party going in the new party as well. They'll try and get some stooges in there. If they do try it again with Corbyn, I think it's just going to be laughed out of the shop. I really do. I mean, people are sick to death of it, of this, the way it's dredged out, and basically everything that breathes, everything that moves is anti-Semitic. That's not to say that anti-Semitism doesn't exist, and where it does exist, it's wrong. But really, to be honest, I've got a couple of drawers and cupboards in the flat. I've got to check to see if there's any anti-Semitism in there, just to make sure that I'm okay before I get a visit from the anti-Semitic thought police. But it's a bit like the conspiracy theory label. That's really worn thin now. It doesn't really have much effect, and I think the anti-Semitic thing is going in the same direction, really. Laughable.
Yeah, I mean, last week at the European Super Cup, where Tottenham Hotspur played Paris Saint-Germain, there was a display on the pitch before a ball had been kicked saying, "Stop killing children." And that prompted a furious response from one or two pro-Israel commentators here in the UK, most notably Stephen Pollard and David Collier, both of whom said that this was an anti-Semitic message, which is extraordinary confession, really, an entirely neutral message which could just as easily have been aimed at Russians or Ukrainians, or indeed, for that matter, individuals who murder children. Didn't necessarily need to be directed at any state actors, but they automatically assumed that it was directed at Israel and that the message was itself anti-Semitic. Why not just come straight out and say that you hate Jews or something, was the message from one commentator. But before we get deeper into that, first I just want to play this clip demonstrating, I think, the degree of indignation felt by a lot of people about the current situation, the sheer scale of the horror, and indeed our impotence to do anything about it, given that we're represented nationally by the likes of Keir Starmer and David Lammy.
Transport. Get on the transport, and either they're going to kill them, deport them, send them to another country, God only knows. And Germany and Merz and Macron and Trudeau and Trump, what are they doing? And what is the United Nations doing? For God's sake, all they can do right now, the minimal, is to sanction Israel, expel Israel from the United Nations, for God's sake. Do something. Do something. All of us don't know anymore what to do. We are nonviolent. We don't hate anyone. I speak to this woman over here with her Israeli flag. Nobody here hates these people. This is all a lie. Anti-Semitism, Hamas, over and over and over. I don't know any Palestinian or any Lebanese who has this hate. I'm outraged. I don't have hate. I have anger. My anger is sacred anger, and I will never let it convert into hate. But this is outrage.
And after your interview went global and viral, police arrested you.
That's right.
But you are still coming.
Yeah, but I'm not going to talk about that. But yes, they took me away. But of course now I'm in the eye. But I at this point in my life, you have to decide: do you want want to be a machine? Do you have a heart? Do you have a soul? Do you have a spirit? And I show up, and I want to say this, because the people in Palestine, and this is why Israel hates the Palestinians, because they have soul and heart and spirit and nobility, and their ancestors are in the dirt, and they will never, ever give in. They are the last stronghold for gentrification, feudal technocracy, all of this horrible corporate AI. We're finished. We're finished.
And international law that says there's a right for resistance.
The Geneva Convention. I have the documents. I don't have the documents with me, but I can show you. The right to resist, absolutely. If you are an occupied people, Jean Moulin, Sophie Scholl, Leonard Peltier, Bobby Seale, Bobby Sands, I can name you all the people who resisted. Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, these are people who resisted.
It's typical of the degree of frustration and anger that people are feeling. And one of the reasons are statistics like this, Phil. Aid workers killed, wounded, or kidnapped in each country so far this year. And as you can see, Palestine, Sudan, South Sudan, but the number in Palestine pretty much outstrips the rest of the world combined. I had somebody attacking me. It's quite a regular thing, actually, on social media. Why don't you ever post about Sudan? There's terrible atrocities going on there. It's called whataboutery, Phil. And it's something that the Hasbro trolls are particularly fond of. What about this? What about that?
Yes, well, what about the what about? I mean, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, we happen to be living in a country, living under the shadow of a government in the UK, for instance, that is not only failing to take measures against Israel, which could include military action. If it was, in a dream world, they could sanction military action to defend the massacre of civilians, or they could impose sanctions on Israel. They could even stop supplying them with doing trade with them and allowing them to use our air bases for refueling their aircraft, and we could stop supplying parts for the aircraft that are used in the bombing of the Palestinians. All these things, it affects the people that are living in this country. We're responsible for allowing our government to be involved in this. So, all these things of why don't you do that? Why don't you look at that? Well, this is an extraordinary event. The genocide has been going on forever, hasn't it? But the level to which it's accelerated in the last 2 years is completely extraordinary. And what about the number of journalists that have been killed? I think it's more that have been murdered in Palestine than in a whole load of other wars put together, right?
Oh,
and
yes.
It's not even a war. It's a genocide. It's not war.
This was David Collier's response to the banner, which reads, "Stop killing children, stop killing civilians." That was UEFA's message from the Super Cup, loud and clear. And David Collier has added the following comment: "These anti-Semites think they're being clever. Europe has no idea what is coming over the hill." First of all, there's a clear confession.
Well, it's insane because what they're doing, that they're actually, if you wanted to slice that as anti-Semitism, it's them that's making it anti-Semitic by linking it to the idea of Jewish people being guilty for that. They're the ones who are entirely coming up with the idea, because the image doesn't offer that as a notion, does it? It just says about children being killed. So they're the ones that are assuming that and are linking it to that. So they're actually guilty of promoting that idea themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk, we were touching on it earlier, about what happens when the genocide finally stops. Hamas have accepted the latest Qatari brokered ceasefire proposal. Apparently the Israelis are going to give their answer on Friday, chance to kill a few hundred more people between now and then, of course. They're moving ahead with plans to level what remains of Gaza City and exterminate everyone in it. As we heard in that clip, the idea is to force everybody down into a series of extermination zones in the south of the Strip. It's absolutely hellish there, hell on earth, as has been described by numerous physicians and the few people that have been in, and we can see that from the pictures anyway. But lots of talk, as I was saying, about demilitarization of Palestine, of the Gaza Strip, and what happens afterwards. I'm more interested, Phil, I don't know about you. I think we've got this completely the wrong way round. If a country commits genocide, then that's the one that needs to be demilitarized, isn't it?
Yes, I would say so. I think that's not a controversial statement there, Basil. I think.
But it is, and it's an extremely controversial statement. Nobody is talking about who runs Israel in the future. Everybody likes to try and pin all the blame for what's going on the personality of Netanyahu. I say everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people who want to try and occupy an actually non-existent middle ground like to say it's all Netanyahu's fault. The likes of Bernie Sanders, the senator for Vermont over in the United States. Oh, it's all Netanyahu's fault. He's perpetrating this war so that he can stay in power because he'll face corruption charges. Let's not forget, over 80% of the Israeli public want to see Gaza completely ethnically cleansed. And Smotrich, the security minister, came out with an openly genocidal speech just a couple of days ago. Now, we still have in the UK diplomatic relations with Israel. They enjoy favoured trading nation status with the European Union. And very recently, members of parliament, both Labour and Conservative, friends of Israel, have been on junkets over there. And just last week, during this summer recess, the members of Congress also posed alongside the homicidal psychopath Netanyahu and some of his cohorts. But this, as we're going to hear now in this speech from Smotrich, is what the end game is. This is where they're heading.
והפעם השיטה המבצעית שונה לחלוטין ממה שהיה בעבר. לא עוד פשיטות עם כניסות ויציאות, אנחנו כובשים, מטהרים ונשארים עד להשמדת חמאס. בדרך אנחנו משמידים את כל מה שעוד נשאר מהרצועה, פשוט, כי הכל שם זו עיר טרור אחת גדולה. במסגרת המלחמה צה"ל מניע אוכלוסייה מאזורי הלחימה ולא משאיר אבן על אבן. אני אומר לכם, פשוט תסתכלו על הסרטונים של מה שקורה ברצועת עזה. האוכלוסייה תגיע לדרום הרצועה ומשם בעזרת השם למדינות שלישיות. במסגרת תוכנית הנשיא טראמפ זה שינוי של מהלך ההיסטוריה, לא פחות. מינימום נדרש שיגיע לאוכלוסייה, פשוט כדי שהעולם לא יעצור אותנו ויאשים אותנו בפשעי מלחמה. צה"ל סוף סוף מנהל מערכה נגד השלטון האזרחי של חמאס, ולא מתמקד רק בתשתית הצבאית. אנחנו מחסלים שרים ופקידים וחלפנים וגורמים במערך הכלכלי והשלטוני של חמאס. במשך חודשיים וחצי לא הכנסנו סיוע הומניטרי לרצועת עזה. זה יצר לחץ גדול מאוד על חמאס, וטוב שכך. אבל גם לחץ צריך לדעת לבסט כדי שהוא לא יתפוצץ לנו בפנים. כשצה"ל חזר בימים האחרונים לתמרן בכל הכוח כדי לכבוש את רצועת עזה, שצה"ל מניע אוכלוסייה מהמקום שבו עוד היה לה קצת אוכל, והידידים הכי גדולים שלנו בעולם, אלה שתומכים בנו, אלה שמבינים שאנחנו לא יכולים לעצור רגע לפני הניצחון המוחלט והשמדת חמאס, כשהם מבקשים מאיתנו לעזור להם, לעזור לנו, ולהזים את שקרי ההרעבה, אנחנו צריכים לעשות את זה. מה שייכנס בימים הקרובים זה מעט שבמעט. כמה מאפיות שמחלקות פיתות לאנשים ומטבחים ציבוריים שנותנות מנה יומית של אוכל מבושל. אזרחים בעזה יקבלו פיתה וצלחת אוכל וזהו. זה בדיוק מה שאנחנו רואים בסרטונים, אנשים עומדים בתור.
I think that's quite enough of that, Phil. You were saying that a record number of journalists have been killed. Of course, the Al Jazeera journalist was killed earlier this week, along with 4 others in a tent. Now, that was absolutely disgracefully reported by the BBC, who said, are you justified in killing 5 people when only 1 is the target? That was actually a question from a BBC anchor. I mean, we're off the charts here, and yet you've got the Israel lobby in Britain saying that the BBC is biased for Hamas. I mean, make it make sense, please.
Well, I think it does need a comedy show to make sense of it, because it's so insane. I mean, that really takes the biscuit. I mean, and to start the sentence there by saying there's been talk, of course, of proportionality, and then it says, is it right to kill 5 journalists when you only intended to kill 1? That is pure. I mean, that couldn't be more fucked up, could it? I mean, what are they actually going to put forward as an explanation for a news anchor saying something like? Not only that, but as I understand, it hasn't been withdrawn. It went out as broadcast.
That's right.
Considered to be an acceptable thing to broadcast.
Well, what the BBC journalist is doing is echoing the likes of this homicidal psychopath, Ilon Levy, who has targeted somebody else. Al Jafrawi is not a journalist. He works for Hamas Regime TV. He is a Hamas content creator. So Levy there is trying to get him murdered as well. That's the guy who got me kicked off X, formerly Twitter, for saying that international law should be allowed to take its course with respect to the genocide. He took that as being a personal threat. And yet there he is making that kind of threat. So I'm going to be using that in evidence against him, and in order to get my account on X reinstated, which I hope happens very soon. But finally, on this subject, before we move on to the other side of the leading edge, so to speak, a more optimistic subject, is this whole question of your party, the new party, call it what you like, and whether or not it will be avowedly anti-Zionist or not, because Corbyn, for all that he was smeared and politically assassinated, but was nevertheless a Zionist. In other words, he believes in Israel's right to exist, that weird mythological article of faith that is demanded of politicians and commentators all around the world. And as far as I know, has always been a supporter of the equally mythical 2-state solution. He was smeared and knifed in both the front and the back simply because he spoke up for Palestinian human rights. Anti-Zionism, the idea, the belief that the state of Israel as this homicidal maniac, ethno-fascist killing machine needs to be completely dismantled, has only gained popularity really in the last 6 to 12 months, but it's a popularity that's snowballing. Of course, strenuous efforts have been made to conflate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. I saw Paul Mason tweeting out this week, oh, look, throwing his hands up in the air. Zara Sultana has said the unsayable. She wants to ditch the International Holocaust, the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. You can see the whole thing starting up again. Oliver Kamm attacked her in the same way, and he flat out called her an anti-Semite. But it looks as if Sultana is made of sterner stuff than Jeremy Corbyn. Here's the tweets. Times columnist Oliver Cam defamed Zara Sultana as an anti-Semite. She threatened to sue him, and today he has backed down by locking his account. It remains to be seen if he deletes or apologizes, but that shows that fighting back can work. As I wrote in Weaponizing Anti-Semitism, that's Asa Stanley's excellent book, Corbyn could have easily done the same. She replied, she said to his initial smear, I say it loudly and proudly, I am an anti-Zionist, print that. The smears won't work. And she threatened to, or she said to him, you better get lawyered up because I'm going to come and sue you for defamation. And this is on the same subject. Here's a post of Oliver Cam's account. This shout isn't so cocky now. He seemingly be being sued for defaming. I hope that every last Jew endangering anti-Semitism, weaponizing fraud sees this. The game is over. Their scam exposed to anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, and the whole world now sees the evil of Israel. Somebody else not mincing their words. I mean, things are going to be very different with regards to this conversation when your party finally has a name. Some indications have said they're going to wipe out the Labour Party and present a very serious challenge to reform at the next general election, particularly if allied with the Greens and the Workers' Party. So the ding dong, as it were, get ready for the rematch, except this time I think the left aren't going to roll over and have their tummies tickled in quite the same way, Phil.
Yes. Well, I think it really looks like the end for Labour, doesn't it, after this horror show of Starmer? I mean, I can't imagine him lasting much longer. And of course, what's the alternative? So, is there going to be a new alternative now that's less of a nightmare? Hopefully, there will be. But I must say that I have very little faith in any politicians, to be honest.
Well, there are one or two notable exceptions. I mean, Craig Murray is a politician of sorts, former UK ambassador, of course. He stood for the Workers' Party in the last election. Changing topic slightly, he's posted this on the X platform. This, of course, is part of the new security arrangements that the awful Starmer seems to think are necessary. I'm not sure if you're aware of this whole national security review that's underway, Phil, that says we live in an increasingly dangerous world. And the answer to that is to arm ourselves with more nuclear weapons and indeed to contribute £10 billion towards £100 billion purchase of European weapons from the USA to give to Ukraine. And you wonder why they're cutting the winter fuel allowance for pensioners. This is, again, I'm tempted to use the word satanic again, Phil. I can't help it because as far as I'm concerned, this is deeply evil. There's no need for the weapons to go to Ukraine. £10 billion. We're constantly told that the exchequer is short of money. And indeed, they're doing dastardly things to try and save money. And yet, all the arrows are pointing in the wrong direction, Phil.
Absolutely bonkers, I would say, absolutely insane, satanic, insane. And, it's just all going to hell, really, if we let these people direct the future of the world and retain control of the vibration that creates the reality that we experience. Then we're hurtling downhill rather fast, aren't we? So we have to do something about it, something positive.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you touched on something there, which a lot of people might think is rather woo-woo, the vibration, the frequency that controls the world, that determines exactly how this hologram, some people think it's a simulation. Science doesn't really know how our reality is constructed. It's able to describe it and has lots of words, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's any understanding, even amongst elite scientists, let alone ordinary members of the public, about how our reality actually comes to be, both individually and collectively. A lot of people are simply tuning out of the news because it's all so horrific that they don't want it infecting their reality and would much rather continue in a world of love and light and wish away the darkness. Phil, do you think that's the answer? I heard somebody say once, reality is only where your attention is focused. Perhaps I should shut my laptop and give this up and instead just simply go and sit in a forest and it'll all go away.
That's a very interesting debate, that one. You see, there's the idea that we are creators of our own reality. Therefore, if you want to create a great reality that's the life you want to see, then you focus on what you want, but not what you don't want. Right? We have a tendency, because we're conditioned. There's the idea that worrying is to pray for what it's like praying for what you don't want. You see, we're discussing here on these kind of programs on your show and stuff and other places. It's all about the alternative media being informed about the great evil that's going on, being informed about the people like me have been talking about for 15 years, talking about how evil the ruling elite are in the world, and we need to be awakened to that. But there's a fine balancing point, isn't there, don't you think, between being awakened to what's happening so you can do something about it, and focusing on it so much that it depresses you and actually puts you on a vibration where you're seeing only those things and not the inspiring, amazing potential possibilities for one's life that are also out there. So to me, it's and I've been looking into this for many years, and particularly in the last 3 or 4 years, focusing very much on the power of the mind and the power that we have, the untapped power that we all have as human beings, and how we can access more of that in terms of creating our own reality. And of course, that subject then comes up. I mean, should we be focusing, should I be focusing too much on Palestine, what's happening there? You see, to me, the key is, and I've always felt that it was inspiring when I first looked into chemtrails, that was the thing that got me down the rabbit hole, and I found it depressing. And I was going through a relationship breakup at the time when I saw these 2 pink chemtrails diagonally going down into the corner of the sky one morning. I looked at that and I just lost the plot, because someone told me about chemtrails and said this was a conspiracy. I didn't want to believe it. But when I saw that, I thought, yes. But I thought, well, I'm going to park that because I'm not in the right life condition to take that on board. So I parked it for about 3 months. But when I came back to it, the chemtrail thing led me down all these other avenues of inquiry, which revealed this great conspiracy that's going on. Now, from that point on, I found it interesting looking into the conspiracy. I found it empowering, but I can easily see that some people could look at it in an obsessive way and not be empowered by it. So this is the thing. Do you find it empowering? And do you also have some other kind of spiritual practice that while you're looking at this shit that's going on, you're also working on the things that you love? You're also, becoming inspired and inspiring other people. You're becoming more creative. Is your life growing? Because if it isn't, and you're looking at all this shit, all you're doing is looking at how dark everything is without a solution. So I think the important thing is to see our potential, see that we're free to do stuff and to find some kind of spiritual discipline, which enables you to be grounded.
Yeah, which enables you to be grounded, and which enables you, as you rightly say, to focus on positive things, to explore your creativity, to enjoy the company of friends and nature. Basic things like that, I think, can help, Phil.
Yes, and also to do things that help other people,
Yes.
things that bring people, laughter or inspiration, or, because by contributing to that's how you become, richer yourself, by giving stuff to other people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the more we give, the more we receive. A lot of people seem to forget that. As you sow, so shall you reap, as they say. Phil Zimmerman, we're going to go out to the sounds of Lines in the Sky one more time. If you'd like to credit any of the musicians that played with you, please feel free to do so. And also tell everyone where they can find you and your work.
Thank you. Yes, well, I'm still using the satanic social media stuff, so you can find me on Facebook, Phil Zimmerman Music, Instagram, Phil Zimmerman Music. I'll have a website coming up soon where you'll be able to buy my record without giving any of it to the satanic masters of the universe, which they're not really, of course. But the video is on YouTube, and you can find all the credits for the video and the musicians and the producer all on there. They're all credited. Fantastic people, all of them. And it was great working with them on the record and on the video. And the album is going really well. It's going to be coming out on vinyl, as I say, end of this year or early next year. And there'll be more news of that soon.
Phil Zimmerman, actor, comedian, and musician, all-round good egg. Thank you for joining me today on The Leading Edge with Basil Valentine. And as promised, folks, here once again is Lines in the Sky.
Lines in the sky, chemical shapes, raining down on you and I. Don't you ever wonder why? There's lines in the sky, lines in the sky, chemical shapes. It's a new world order, conspiracy and lies. Don't you ever wonder why? There's la 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 lines in the sky, chemical shapes. I saw it on the internet, and now it's messing with my mind. Don't you ever wonder why? There's lines in the sky. They think we're all zombies, lobotomized sheep, addicted to apathy. I am a Kevin. Lines in the sky, chemical shapes,
There you go. Lines in the sky, Phil Zimmerman. I'm Basil Valentine. I'll be back at the same time tomorrow with Hoz, that's Hussein Shafei, the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Britain, who's been trying his level best to get arrested for supporting a now proscribed organization. I'm sure you know who it is. So I'm looking forward to hearing his testimony tomorrow, and I'll see you all then.
Unfiltered, uncensored, unprecedented TV.